Yes, ma'am.
The PPT is also visible, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Whether you can see the PPT. Students, are you able to see the PPT in the screen?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, thanks. So we started with understanding about what is marketing. Students, if you are unable to hear me or see about the PPT, please put it in the chat. Then I will know what is going on. Right. So we went on looking into what is meant by marketing and why it is important. And we wanted to emphasize the fact nowadays it is on the organization's requirement that the customer value have to be created. So once that the value is being understood and realized by the consumers or maybe the customers, then only we have, as a marketer, we have a chance of getting into or penetrating into the market, and of course capturing about the larger market portion, so that we may as an organization attain our profitability. So value caption or value creation is said to be very important. So that is what the marketing department or maybe the responsible entities for marketing is trying to do about. So in that junction, we saw about some of the objectives that we have to go through, and this is the objective by looking into or discussing about the particular section. And I think we have gone through many of those objectives and tried to understood. And this has been the introduction. We said what the marketing is, and we also emphasized the fact that it is about the company's creation of value for the customers, and thereby a strong relationship to be built. And this relationship will be making the consumers retain with the organization. Attracting and retaining, there are two aspects that the marketers does. And retaining, of course, is mainly the requirement of having about a customer relationship. By this, we are creating about the value, and by this value, an organization tries to generate revenue for the organization. So we have seen what is meant by this marketing from a traditional way, because marketing was not nowadays introduced, or it was not the fact that came into existence very recently. Of course, that has been there for many years back, and therefore, we have to distinguish the difference between the traditional view as well as the modern view. And we particularly saw that in the traditional view, it was the flow of goods or services from the organization to the consumers. So the organization can produce whatever that they want, and that production is being given to the consumers, and consumers also didn't have much of marketers, or didn't have much of other organization to have choices. So choices were very much limited, where it was in the conventional days, right? But nowadays, of course, it is not. And we also know that the consumers' requirement have to be matched with the organization's products or services. So therefore, the organization is taking about a part of trying to match about the requirements of the marketplace, that is, the requirements of the consumers or customers, and by that they try to design or modify or maybe cater for the requirements. So that has been the modern view. And also we went on looking into what is, of course, meant by this marketing by definition. Of course, this American Marketing Association has contributed more onto this marketing side. So it can be many forms of marketing. So it may be the general marketing or service marketing or supply chain marketing, relationship marketing, integrated communication, many marketing these people, this association has contributed, and of course that it is also our main right understanding that we should have by the definition given by this particular association, and of course it is said that to be the organization function, right? So I have already told you we can list out the function in the organization. It can be production, it can be finance, it can be HR, it can be research and development. In all of these functions, one of it, right? There had been the marketing. So this function really helping an organization to create and communicate as well as deliver the value to the consumers. Not only that, managing about the relationship so that the benefits of that or by doing about that, these the benefits have been attained by the organization as well as the stakeholders also. Organize when you talk about the organization, you cannot alone talk about the organization. You have to also relate it with the stakeholders. We know there are many stakeholders over the organization. There can be internal stakeholders, the external stakeholders, very important people, not important people. Not that we have to look into the perspective of organization, but also to be understood in the view of stakeholders, right? So this definition has given a very good point, and also that we went through this fact, not that the marketing is related with products, so it can be related with products, services, events, experience, persons, you name it. There are a number of items that can be marketed, and this particular marketing that we are studying about is applicable for whatever items that are being marketed by organization, right? And we said, of course, the marketing what sort of what sort of nature the marketing would be, and emphasize on the exchange, because we are giving something as an organization, we are giving something, and from the customers we are getting something, right? So there is an exchange that take place between, and most of the time it is the consumer or customer oriented, and even the function starts with the consumers and finish with consumers, right? And also this marketing activity has to be preceded and succeeded of production, because we have seen in the modern view that rather than we produce and push the products to the market, we have to first study about the market and then bring about the production into the focus, right? And of course, this marketing is really a goal oriented, where the profit maximization is emphasized. But of course, how can the profit attained by is through the satisfaction of the consumption of whatever the organization is giving, right? And of course, marketing is said to be an art and science. We know it is not only analysis, it is also dealing with many sort of articulated, right, things also. So therefore that it is the combination of both of these. And of course, it gives about the guidelines how the businesses have to proceed with. And even it is said to be a system where insights are being taken, that is, information is being taken and it is being processed, and we get the output, that is maybe the output of the product or information of consumers, whatever. And also it is a related function. The marketing itself cannot function alone. It has to be related with uh, other functions also. If it is related or integrated with other functions also, it would be successful, because already we have said marketing is related with production, and same as that it has to be related with finance. Whatever wanted for the marketing expenditure have to come from finance. At the same time, by marketing only as a strategy of having a price, the organization can generate the revenue, right? So in that way, it is related. Research and development, it is of course looking into the marketplace and what sort of development can happen, is being found out and given away, right? So like you name it, there is really a relationship between other functions. And also we went on looking into the scope of marketing, and we started with wants and needs and went on looking into the consumer behavior, and then the product planning and development. That is one of the four P's we wanted to look by. The branding and the packaging, the channel distribution, then prices, of course, the sales management, promotion, finance, and after sales services. Okay, so that was what that we wanted to understand what is meant by marketing. And as a second objective, also went on looking into the marketplace, and what are the core of marketplace concepts, right? So these are the core. We said needs are the very important starting point, but of course needs doesn't create about, or rather than other way, the marketing doesn't create needs, right? So need is always there, it is always existing, and needs have been said to be uh, a state of felt deprivation. That is something that has to be fulfilled. That we are very often wanted for that need to be fulfilled with, right? So now say though that we have had the breakfast, then when it comes to the noon, that we want a lunch, and when it gets night, then we want a dinner, right? So even though that the breakfast that we have got a good food, that does not mean the food requirement has been fulfilled, right? So it is again and again rising with. So needs have that sort of what you call character. And from the needs only, we said wants are what you call coming out, right? So needs is the deprivated situation, but the deprivated situation can be fulfilled by many mechanisms, right? So now, say for an instance, if you want to clean yourself, right, you have soap, you have lotions, and you have body gels, right? Number of things are there. Out of that, you may want one of those, right? So that is called as wants, and we as a marketer may not be always what do you call depend on the wants that the consumers are having. Of course, wants have to be backed by the demand. That is, there have to be a purchasing power. If there is no purchasing power, then it is meaningless for us to concentrate ourselves as a marketer on the wall. So that we have seen. And we saw also there is market offering. So organizations can give many of items. So it can be product, it can be services, it can be information, experience, events, people, that you name it. Number of things are there. And also we studied about the marketing myopia. We have to be very careful about we even though that we are doing about a market survey, It does not mean when things are absent or things are not working well. It does not mean that there is no marketing activities which can be proceeded with. So, marketing myopia may come across, right, most of the time. So, we have to be very vigilant about this marketing myopia. I think I explained about the marketing myopia, isn't it, in my last class? Students, please answer me. Marketing myopia. What was my example of explaining this marketing myopia? What was my... Huh? Number 52, MS 52. Thank you very much. But can you tell me what was the example that I told you? Yeah, you are 52. You went away. Yes, 52. You are unmuted. Whatever you know, you can tell. I'm not going to scold or I am not going to punish anyway. Yes, 52. No, no answer. 71. 71. Come 38. Come 38. Please don't kill my time. I just wanted to know whether that you have understood the marketing myopia. Come 47. Come 145. Any volunteers? At least one person has to open your mouth and tell me. Yeah. 52, yes.
Focus on selling rather than building relationship with the customer, myopia.
Sorry.
Focus on building relationship with
I
the
didn't get your point. Focus of a relationship.
Yeah.
What was the example I told you? I told you an example where that an organization, maybe the expert on marketing, all right, send two salespeople to a particular area, proceed, particular area, where to find out whether there is demand for slippers. That was the example, isn't it? Slippers. And so one sales rep came and told, of course, that we don't have a market because there is no people wearing about the slippers. All are walking with a barefoot. But the next one, or maybe the second one, said that, of course, there is huge amount of demand which that we can have because I saw that no one is wearing slippers. So then if we market the slippers, there may be people consuming or people may like to buy it and there is a huge market for us, right? So this is what I called as the marketing myopia, right? So it's of course a dilemma for an organization. You have to be very careful. Now, can you remember the example I told you? MS 52, 52, they have gone. MS 61, Rifan, are you there? Rifan. Okay, I don't know. You don't understand, that is your problem. But if you don't understand and tell me, then I may try to make you understand. That is what I am like repeatedly asking about this. I don't want to, for you to get, what do you call, excited or you to get frightened about. Nothing that I wanted to do as that, but I wanted to know whether that you all have understood. So marketing myopia is that, okay? Then we went on having about understanding of exchange, right? So exchange, of course, there have to be two parties, and each of the parties have to have what is wanted by the other party, right? So there have to be a value. Then only there will be an exchange taking place. Otherwise, there is no such thing to happen, right? And of course, by this, we can create about a relationship, and that relationship have to be maintained. And then about the market, we wanted to know what is meant by market. Market, of course, it can be consumers of the present, that is the actual consumers, as well as the potential buyers, that is the people who may come into our market in a later stage, right? So consumers, how do you understand about the consumers in that market? Of course, they are searching for the deprived need to be fulfilled. That is, they are searching for products or services or information or people or whatever. And also, they interact with the organization to obtain information. It is not necessary always to consume about the product, right? Before consumption of the product, sometimes the consumers or customers want to know about your product, right? So what sort of value your product is giving about. So they interact with the organization, and also they are the people who are purchasing, right? So the consumers of the market is called for these reasons. And we also saw that this also I was explaining about for the particular company as well as competitors. There may be same suppliers at the uh, same suppliers at the same time. They also can have the same marketing intermediaries, that is the distributors, right? So there is a competition between the particular company and the competitors in order to get the raw materials, right? So the suppliers, raw materials, and other services that are wanted. It can be the communication, transportation, right, merchandising, number of things. At the same time, once the product is being produced, it may be sold directly, right? So you can have a direct sales to the final consumers, same as the the competitors also can do it, but at the same time, there is an availability of marketing intermediaries, that is the distributors. And we can call them as wholesalers, retailers, right? So there are distributors or resellers who get the product from your company and sell it to the final consumers. At the same time, these particular relationship can be affected by the environmental forces, marketing environmental thing or environmental forces that is up to us to be studied, right? So subsequently, we will be studying about the marketing environment, right? And also, I think we left with this objective, that is what I can remember. If I am wrong, please correct me. Was this the objective I left, or I have already discussed about this? No, I think here somewhere I left last time. Am I correct? Students. Students, are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Right. So, so as a third objective, thank you. As a third objective, we have to identify what are the important elements which has to be looked by when you are devising the customer-driven marketing strategy, right? Customer-driven marketing strategy in the sense based on the consumers, right? And also what is the marketing management orientation, right? There are five orientation or number of orientations that we can see about. So, what are those orientations which have to be covered, right? Now, looking into this, now we said there have to be designing of customer-driven marketing, customer value-driven marketing strategy. And so, in that perspective, try have to understand about what is marketing management, right? So, marketing, of course, we tried to saw in the previous objective, and now it is marketing management. And marketing management, of course, is again said to be an art and science. So what does that does is choosing about the target markets and building about a profitable relationship, right? In a very nutshell, the definition for marketing management is given, right? So we have to have a choice of the markets that we are going to serve. And not only that, with the markets, that is markets in the sense there is competitors as well as consumers, right? So with the consumers, the profitable consumers, mostly it is being concentrated with the profitable consumers, we must try to build our relationship, right? So now there are two actually what I can call it two important aspects for us to study by, or what the definition is proposing for is what customer will we serve, right? So if there is a larger market, it's sometimes not possible by a marketing program or marketing strategy to approach the entire market. So we have to have a choice of that. Right, so the market has to be, segmented, or market has to be divided, and out of the divisions that we have the option of selecting what is appropriate or what is suitable for the particular organization. So, what customer that we are going to serve is given by target markets, right? And the second indication is that how best that we can serve those customers. How best. Why that we have or we wanted to understand how best that we can serve. This is because of the value proposition, right? So we, from the beginning, we were emphasizing the fact that creating value, right? Creation of value to the consumer. So the value proposition is very important. Value proposition in the sense how much of liking we can give to the consumers. We should not actually say in that way, but for you to understand that I am making that more simplified. Why the consumer would prefer your products or services or whatever that you are marketed than the competitors who are there in the marketplace, right? So why that they prefer? So the preference is that you have or you have given by differentiation. Your products, your services are something different from the competitors. So you have the best, or you have the really wanted characters or features that the consumers are searching for. That is what meant by value proposition. So you wanted to create value. When higher the value that you created, the higher the people will be purchasing from your organization. And not only that, the value creation will make the consumers to be your advertisement, word of mouth. You would have heard about the terminology called as word of mouth. They will be propaganding, right? These particular products or services to be good with others, right? So through advertisement, of course, we are sponsoring. As a marketer, we are sponsoring the particular information and inducing the consumers to purchase it. But of course, when the consumers are satisfied of your purchasing of your product, they will be, passing the information to others, and therefore there is more reliability on those passing information. So that is called as word of mouth. So for this reason, of course, the marketing management is really uh, having the role to be played, right? So value proposition, that was we looked last, right? So it's a brand's value proposition. Why we call it as a brand is that now once that your product can be distinguished, right, from the competitors, then of course you are in the minds of the consumers or customers. So if you put yourself in the minds, that means you have branded your product. Branded your product means your product has been looked as a different product by whatever, like maybe whatever things that you would have used. So it can be name, it can be logo, it can be a combination of things, it can be symbols, right? So many of those may help the consumers to identify the product, right? Your product to be identified will be helped by the branding process, right? So lately we will come to know about what is branding and what sort of things that has to be looked by branding. But for this value proposition, a brand's value proposition is a set of benefits or values it promises to deliver to the consumer to satisfy their requirements, right? So it's the benefits and values, right? Something that they are going to give to the consumer's hands so that they are being benefited by having the product, right? Now, say if they have given a phone, right, in the marketplace, what sort of benefits the consumers can get? They have a number of benefits. They can use it for communication. They can use it to send like photos, and of course to look into the internet. The bank transactions can be done, right? Many that you name it, number of things can be done by this. So there is more benefits that the consumers are having. Therefore, that benefits are said to be the value that the consumers are looking into, right? So value is very important. Now, further to that, I also earlier said there is different orientation, right? Marketing, marketing concept is also there. At the same time, there are different concepts also that can be spoken under this marketing, right? So it can be the production concept, it can be the product selling concept, marketing, as well as the societal marketing concept. And nowadays we are talking about the holistic marketing, right? So different orientation that we may able to see about, but it is actually said it has been what you call uh, evolved from the production to the product, then to the selling, and of course to the marketing, thereafter to the societal marketing, and then nowadays we can talk in terms of holistic marketing. Of course, holistic marketing is going to have these things which are being specified, but lately we will look into what is holistic marketing. But of course, the marketing, or you may even call as a marketing era, right? So different periods, different concepts have been operating. So that the concepts have been successful in those days. But subsequently, in the days came, those concepts didn't materialize for what it has been intended. Had the production concept that they had to change to product concepts and the selling concepts like that. The different concepts have came into existence. So this is what we call it as the market orientation. So our objective had been what? To study about the customer driven marketing as well as the marketing management orientation. So how the orientation has came into existence. Okay, and even if you take about those orientation, we can have a differentiation between, and of course, we can put it into two groups and talk. That has been the traditional concept and the modern concept. Right? So, in the traditional concepts, you have the exchange concept, right? Earlier at the very beginning, we have the exchange concept. So we didn't have money to exchange, but it was exchanged by product, right? So one person had the product what the other person had, same as that the other person also had the product what this person wanted. So the wants and the wants, right, got together and the products have been exchanged, right? So that is exchange concept. Then came the production concept, then the product concept, and the selling concept. This is called as a traditional concept. Why it is been, coming under the traditional concept is early also we distinguish between the traditional view as well as modern view. So in the traditional view, what was the focus had been to concentrate only on the product, right? First, about the product or the services or whatever that is being marketed, the concentration started with that. And from there only, it moved into the market, right? So we first thought about the product and then only we consider about the marketing of it, or we consider about the consumer. Right? But the modern concept, you can see the modern. What are the modern concepts that is falling here? That is being the marketing concept, societal marketing concept, as well as the holistic marketing concept. Right. So here that has gone other way around. First, that we thought about the consumer. So first that we consider about the market and the production side, the product side, or whatever, right? The selling side, you name it. So all of these came once that we have considered about the consumer. So the consumer is to be, or the customer is to be the prime, right? So that is what the modern concepts were emphasizing. But the traditional concepts have been emphasizing on the organization or maybe on the organization's product or services, right? So that has been the traditional concept. So there is a difference. It is, of course, a big difference, right? So traditional concept emphasizing on the fact of the product or the organization or whatever, then thereafter about the market or the consumers. But of course, that was concept where that first the consumers as well as the market considered, and then it was turned into the organization or maybe the product that they were giving about. Okay. So do you understand what is the difference between that and this? Students. The difference between the traditional concepts and the modern concepts?
Yes, ma'am.
Who said yes?
Yes, ma'am.
52. Who said yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Students, next class, if you all are not talking, I will stop taking lectures. Everything I will put it into the reference, right, from first chapter to the last chapter. Then you can learn. It is pointless now. I am asking something, you all are remaining silent. Why is that no one is trying to speak out? Have you understood the difference between the traditional concepts as well as the modern concepts? Say yes or no. Rifan, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Rifan?
Yes, ma'am.
Who said yes, ma'am? Tell your numbers. Number 61, MS 61. Tell me, have you understood those two concepts, the differences between the traditional as well as modern? MS 61. Unmute, unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to remove, huh? Yeah. 61 is it? MS 61. Unmute yourself. From 144. 144. If you don't unmute yourself, I'll remove you. Come 37. Come 14. Come 2. Hello, Neeraja. Good afternoon. சரி. நாளைக்கு எனக்கு ஷுவர் இல்ல. நீங்க மெயில் பண்ண அநேகமா சில லீவா தான் இருக்கும். மெயில் பண்ணுங்க. MS 147. Come 3. Come 5. Come 9. Tell me whether you all have understood the difference between the concepts of the traditional one and the modern one. Come 9. Come 8. Come 14. Come 15. Come 21. MS 56. MS 57. MS 53. MS 65. Those who have I called and not respond, I have removed. Now I will continue my lectures. If you are not answering, I will remove, or otherwise I will wind up my lectures. I am not going to ever take you lectures. You better report to your head and ask another lecturer for that. Right. So in the traditional view, I said there is a difference between the traditional and the modern one. And so that understanding we should have. So the emphasis on the traditional view had been first to be the organization and second to be the consumers. But of course, in the modern one, we emphasize the fact first to be the consumers and second to be the organization. Okay, right. So now it is also our time to look into what is meant by the traditional concepts. So, what are the concepts that has been existing? So, one to be the exchange concept. This was earlier also explained about. So, there is an exchange of product between the sellers and the buyers, and that has been the central of the marketing aspect. So here the marketing was exchanging the product between the sellers as well as the buyers, right? But that particular concept didn't exist, for a long period of time. Again came the production concept. So this concept is also the exchange concept is the very oldest one, and the production concept, of course, is said to be the again the oldest one. And of course, it was it was applied for the reason that the consumers prefer the products which are being widely available, and also it is given in a less cost, that is price to be less priced, right? So they preferred, the marketing of that period had been to give the product in a wider range rather than wider range. I may not say as a wider range, but the wider availability. The product has to be available uh, for all, or it has to be available at the large extent. At the same time, it has to be also given at the less price, right? So if the product can be available, or if the product is available and given at the less price, then of course there had been exchange taking place, right? So the production concept was to produce more and more, right? So if you produce more and more, you can make available of those products widely to the market. At the same time, because of the larger production, the production cost can come down. So we know, isn't it, right? So if the average cost will be reduced when there is a larger production take place, for the reason that the fixed cost is being absorbed by the many units that are being produced. So for that reason, the production cost will come down. So therefore, that the product also can be given at the less price. So that was the main emphasis in the production concept, right? So therefore, here the concentration had been on the product efficiency, that is the lower cost, as well as with the mass distribution. Why mass distribution? You have to make it widely available. Right? So that has been the emphasis over the production. Then, of course, came the product concept. So, a product concept was people or the consumers preferred on the innovative performance of the product rather than the production. It is on the product, how well the product is having what you call good features, or very high quality features in those, right? So the performance of the product had been the more emphasis. How well the product can fulfill the requirement of the consumer. So more emphasis had been made onto the product, that is on the product quality, on the performance, as well as on the innovative features. And therefore, that organizations were focusing over providing a superior product. So they were trying to modify the product accordance to the requirement, not only even the requirement, they wanted higher quality. So higher quality is defined as, or higher quality can be described as that is fit for the purpose, right? Fit for the purpose is being told to be a high quality one, right? So if the products are available in such a trend, then there had been more products sold into the marketplace. So that is the product concept. Then came the selling concept. Of course, here, if the consumers are not tapped, right, if they are just left on, they may not have an idea of purchasing the product. But of course, if you are promoting the product to the consumers, or if you try to push the product to the consumers, then of course they have the willingness to purchase it, right? So, not that if the product is not promoted, it doesn't much reach about the consumers. So therefore, the product has to be promoted. So the selling concept had been emphasizing on the selling promotion. Aggressive selling promotion had been used during this period. Right? So, in the selling, what is made by the organization is being sold, not what is wanted in the marketplace. Then thereafter came, of course, this marketing concept. Of course, the marketing concept has been emerged in 1950s, right? So where that the shift had been from the product as well as from the production and selling philosophy to the customer centered, right? So, customer centered in the sense the customers had been the first people to look by, and then thereafter only the product was being produced with, right? So, the organization's goals at this period had been to determine the requirements, that is, the needs and the wants of the target market, and of course, thereafter delivering the product to the satisfaction of the consumers. So, this consumers' satisfaction was, of course, ensured better to be more than that the competitors would have done. And also, there had been really customer concentration or customer centered activities started with, right? So, in that, the marketing concept was more like wider developed with. Right. So now, just a differentiation that we could see between the selling concept and the marketing concept, right? Even the traditional view as well as the modern view can be uh, more simplifiedly explained here. So here the starting point had been in the selling concept, the factory or the organization, but in the marketing concept, it had been the market. The focus had been on the existing product, but at the marketing, it had been on the customer needs. Then how that is the mechanism of how that they were dealing is through selling and the promotion. But of course, in the marketing concept had been the integrated marketing. So integrated marketing in the sense that there are number of marketing elements like product, place, price, promotion. So all those pieces to be integrated together. And at the end point in the selling concept, of course, profits were able to be materialized through sales volumes. But here the profits were through the customer satisfaction. So customer satisfaction in the sense we are doing better than the competitors, or our competitors had been I mean, than the competitors, our products have been preferred by the consumers, right? Um, then we can go into the social or the societal marketing concept. Of course, this is also similar to the marketing concept that we were talking about, right? So we are making sure that the consumers' satisfactions are being met, right? Which is more than what the competitors can be offering, right? But at the same time, looking also into the society or society's well-being, right? So what does it mean by the society well-being is whether our products or services which that we are offering about is an ethical one, which is suitable to the environment, which is bound by the legal. At the same time, it is also entirely good for the society, right? So there are a number of products which that we can market, but we have to see whether those products are good for the societal well-being, right? So not only the products, not only that was looked by the products, but also with the activities that are being performed by the particular organization for the society, right? So you would have heard as corporate social CSR, corporate social responsibility, right? So these organizations are sponsoring some of the programs. Sometimes it can be the road development, or it can be building about like building about hospitals, or facilitating about the hospitals, right? Having about or building again like bus stops, something like that, right? So this is of course for the well-being of the society, or for the goodness of the society. So that was the main focus in the societal marketing concept. Of course, marketing, I mean, the satisfaction better than the competitors was the main here. At the same time, it was also added with the societal well-being, right? So that has been the societal marketing concept. Now you can see in the particular picture, it is been very well explained, right? So company wants profits, customers wants the satisfaction, but at the same time, the society wants the human welfare, right? So all these three are being connected, right? If company wants profits, then of course we have to make the consumers more satisfied than our competitors. At the same time, when customers are going to be satisfied, then of course that we have to give the product what that they wanted with. So by that they may get the satisfaction, and by uh, having of these type of activities, we are also looking at the society well-being, right? So the society to be developed with, or to be free of pollution, or free of any endangers, right? So that has been the very focal point of this particular concept, right? And finally, nowadays we are speaking about the holistic marketing concept. Of course, this was based on, as well as designed and implemented on what the marketing programs and processes activities that we have already recognized, right? But of course, the very important, what do you call, new item in this holistic marketing had been the interdependencies, right? So there are different departments. Rather than department, different aspects have been taken into concern, and there were like dependencies on those activities, right? So the holistic marketing concept really was in the view of that most of the things are really matters for us. Most of the things or everything that is being uh, done is very, very important, right? So as a marketing, we cannot like derive the marketing as a thing which is not relevant with the rest of the things, right? So marketing cannot be considered as a single activity, right? Or it cannot be considered alone. It has to be related with many of the aspects. So in that juncture, we see about this holistic marketing having about four important elements. One to be the internal marketing, another one to be the integrated marketing, then the societal or socially responsible marketing, at the same time the relationship marketing, right? So internal marketing, of course, that we have to know about the particular marketing department, and of course who are responsible peoples over there, and this marketing has to be spoken at the corporate level. So corporate senior managers or the executives of the organization have to consider this marketing as a very important activity, and it has to be integrated in their planning also. At the same time, this marketing department has to be integrated with other functional areas, right? So that is the internal marketing aspects. And the integrated marketing, of course, the marketing mix that we were talking about, right? So it was relevant with the product, it is relevant with the channels, it was relevant with promotion, that is communication part. It has to get integrated. That is, product cannot be taken out and lonely plan. Like it cannot alonely plan without the consideration of the pricing, or without the consideration of the place, that is the distribution, or without the promotion, right? Even when you are talking about, or when you are planning for the promotion, you have to look into the product, you have to look into the price of it, and of course the places. So these elements cannot be built alone, right? We have to, all the marketing programs or marketing elements have to be integrated with, right? So in that, the integrated marketing plays about a role, right? And also we said relationship marketing is very important. With whom the relationship has to be built, it has to be built with customers, it has to be built with the channels, because channels are the intermediaries, right? So intermediaries are the people who may get our product and sell it to the final consumer. So with them also we have to create a good relationship, and also with our partners. So partners can be the suppliers, right? Even the competing firms also can be in a collaborative way work for the particular activity, right? So the partners are very important. So we have to build about a relationship among these people. So therefore, the relationship marketing is taking care of it. And then the socially responsible marketing. So we said with the products or services that we are giving about have to go into the codes of ethical responsibility. So whatever that we give has to be free of endangering the societal well-being, right? So we have to look into the environment, whether that is giving any problem to the environment, or it is facilitating the environmental aspects, or it is resolving the environmental issues, right? And also it has to be legally, what you call it has to be free from illegal aspects, right? So that is legal, and we have to serve about the community, right? Apart from giving about the product and services, as an organization, we have the responsibility to serve the society. So the social issues have to be addressed by the respective organization. So in this way, the holistic marketing has been came into the operations. So the holistic marketing is nothing new, but whatever has been already established, it is been connected, right? So the internal marketing aspects have been coming into the integrated marketing. Things have been again the relationship marketing as well as the social responsible marketing. So this is what we can speak about as a holistic marketing, right? And also, very oftenly, we were speaking about the marketing mix, right? We really know what is the components of the marketing mix, called as 4 Ps. So it can be product, price, promotion, and place. At the same time, the integrated marketing, which was one element in the holistic marketing we saw. So we are developing about a comprehensive plan, right? So that is everything is been connected together, right? And by that we are trying to communicate and deliver the intended value, right? Now coming to the fourth objective, right? So here the customer relationship management, where we said or we have given more prominence to the customer relationship management. And then what are the strategies that will be creating value to the consumers, and how that by that the organization can be benefiting, right? So now, what is customer value, right? So, so customer value can be also called as a customer perceived value, right? We are not really sure about uh, the value that the consumers are having. So instead of that, instead of saying customer value, we can call it as a customer perceived value. So what do they perceive? Right? We have to look into the. We have to put ourselves as consumers and see how do they perceive about the customer value, right? Of course, this is the difference between the perspective customer evaluation of all the benefits and all the cost of offering and the perceived alternatives, right? So, what is, of course, the value we could or the organization could have is that really the differences of what the benefit it is been providing and what sort of cost that has been incurred to get that benefits. At the same time, whether there had been an opportunity cost that is compared with the competitors, right? So competitors are the people who may offer the alternatives, right? So if alternatives are available, also there is a cost for us, right? So leaving about the alternatives and purchasing this particular product, we have to forego an opportunity cost also. So the cost of opportunity cost also have to be taken into the calculations of the value, right? So this is what it is been said here, right? So we can say that the perceived worth of set of benefits received by the customer in exchange for the total cost of the offering, what is the customer has to pay for that, and taking into consideration available competitive offerings and their pricing, right? So this is what I was earlier speaking about, right? So therefore, the value is the perception of benefits associated with the goods and services or whatever, right, in relation with what buyers are willing to pay for them, right? So what is, of course, the value that the consumers are really wanted to pay, and what does the organization is offering with them? We can call it to be the value, right? So in a diagrammatic way, right, it is the perceived customer value or the customer perceived value is between the differences between the cost, the total customer value benefits at the same time the total customer cost, right? So what we consider to be the benefits that the customers are getting is the product value, the service value, maybe the personal value as well as the image value. But what is the cost that they may incur with is the monetary cost, the time cost, the energy cost, and of course the psychological cost. That is, of course, you can attribute even this with opportunity cost. So that is the difference. The customer perceived value is the differences between the total customer value, benefits, value or benefits with the total customer cost. Okay, so we have already seen what is meant by the value, the total value, as well as the total customer cost. Okay, so this is, of course, an example that you can see. The other aspect regarding of this also has to be known is the concept of value chain, right? Value chain, of course, lately we will also study about, but still for your understanding, value chain is giving about us an understanding what are the activities that are being carried out in the organization. So those activities again is being divided into two, to be the primary activities, of course the supporting activities, right? If you happen to read about the value chain, then of course it would be more beneficial for you. So there are two activities, two types of activities are being divided, two types that we can get as primary as well as the supporting activities. So in the primary activities, the main one, uh, uh, I mean, starting with the raw material arrival to the organization, that is called as inbound logistic. Again, of course, the process, the outbound logistic, the sales, as well as the services. So those things are being taken as the primary activities, and the supporting activities can be the procurement of the things that is wanted by the organization, the human resources management, the technological development, the infrastructure, those type of things can be considered to be the supporting activities. So by these activities, it is up to the organization to create about the value and also to estimate the cost that is incurred into these activities. So you can create the value. Now, say for an instance, inbound logistic, you have to bring the raw materials into the organization. Now, how that you can create value by this is you try to minimize the cost of bringing about the product into the organization, or it may be preserving about the quality of those raw materials, right? So the quality of the raw materials, if it is there only, then you will be able to make it of a good quality output, right? So therefore, the inputs have to be preserved to that extent. So therefore, the value creation at the same time, the cost estimation that you can do by looking into the value chain. That's why that we have to know about the value chains, right? So I have already given you an idea. This was actually proposed by Michael Porter. So he has said the primary activities and the supporting activities. Now, this is what inbound logistic operations, outbound logistic marketing and sales and services. These are called as a primary activities, and the supporting activities is given by the procurement, technology, human resources management, and the firm infrastructure. Right. And coming into the capturing of the customer relationship, of course, we must try to build about a good relationship with the profitable consumers, right? So, uh, this is by delivering the value that is being expected by the customers, and therefore, you can make about a good satisfaction, right? So now the relationship building blocks happens like this. So here the customer perceived value and the customer satisfaction. Of course, what is the value that you know the differences between the perceived value as well as the cost, and how much that the differences are being bigger and bigger, right? So to that level, the satisfaction would be more, right? So satisfaction, of course, again measured by the performance of the particular product with the expectation that the consumers are having. So that is how it is been predicted about, right? Now, the customer engagement management or marketing, of course, we said the customer value as well as the engagement to be created. So here, of course, the engagement really emphasize whether the consumers will be continuously interacting with the organization, right? So with the organization brands, and also with the particular buyers, rather than buyers, particular suppliers, right? So that is the engagement process is involved. And also these consumer generated marketing, of course, these are some of the big concepts that has to be learned, but lately we will come into the understanding of that. So don't worry if you don't understand now, right? So here it is generated marketing. So by the brand exchange, that is I have already told you what is meant by brand, right? So by brand itself, the consumers are created, or the exchange, of course, is being created by the consumers, right? To that extent that we have moved into. Right, and also partner relationship management, which we were emphasizing on the holistic marketing relationship, where that the organization has to have good relationship not only with the customers but also with the suppliers or distributors or whoever, and even with the partners, right? So the partners may be the distributors, or maybe the suppliers, or maybe the investors, that you name it. And the very important nowadays spoken aspect or the concept is the customer lifetime value, right? So what is meant by the customer lifetime value is the value of the entire stream of purchases that the customer would make over a lifetime of patronage, right? So now lifetime value that we have to create. So earlier we were talking about the customer loyalty, loyal customers, right? So that we have to build about. But now the concept has been turned into lifetime value, right? So whether that you can make them the lifetime consumers of your organization, right? To that extent, the marketing has to be shifted, is the very important aspect wanted. nowadays, right? And the share of the customers, of course, it is what that the consumers get as a benefit. Now, when there is a saving over the organization, in that saving, how much of portion or what is the portion that the consumers can get? Now, say for an instance, you have reduced about your production cost by 20 rupees, right? For a unit, 20 rupees you have reduced, right? But suppose that you have charged earlier 100 rupees for the product, including the margin. Now, what should be the price? Actually, the reduction of 20 rupees have to be reduced from the final price. So, earlier as you sold it at 100 rupees, now you have to sell it 80 rupees. But the organization will decide what is the proportion of the savings, that is the reduction that you have had in the cost of production, to be given to the consumer. Suppose only 10 rupees reduction on the price, if an organization has given, that means only 50% of the saving, that is the share of the customer, had been 50%. So this is how the share of the customer is being calculated. And the customer equity, of course, that is the combination of the time value of the company's customers, right? To what extent, right? The customers of the particular company, or the collection of, or the aggregation of the total customer lifetime value is said to be the customer equity. Okay, so when it comes to the relationship management regarding of capturing the customer value, we can have this particular mechanism, or to identify the group of customers in this way. So it is the potentiality of the profitability, whether to be lower or higher. At the same time, this is the projected loyalty. So long-term loyal customers and short-term one. So in the short-term customers, of course, the potential profitability will be small. So these people can be called as strangers. And even in the shorter term, if there can be a potential profitability to be higher, then called as butterflies. The profitability to be higher and the projected loyalty to be again long term, then these are called as true friends, as well as the brancals, right? This is of course with the long term loyalty, as well as the profitability to be lower. So in this way, the customer groups can be identified, because we are unable to maintain the relationship with all the customers. So it is better for us to put the customers into groups, right? And identify which of the group to be best for us to develop about the customer relationship. And the final objective of the first chapter is to describe about the trends and forces that are changing the marketing landscape, right? So now we have seen the digital and the social media marketing, which has been evaded into, and most of the things have been looked by these type of mechanisms, or these techniques. So we have to really have a what you call insights over that into our marketing program, right? And also there is not-for-profit organizations are growing about. Now you can see about these NGOs, right? NGOs, right? So their parties also growing about. And rapid globalization is taking place now. boundaries are open, the deregulations have taken place. So therefore, products are flowing from wherever places wanted, with from here to outside and from outside to inside. So rapid globalization is there. At the same time, we have to look into the sustainable marketing. So whether that we are able to make about this marketing successful in the future, right? So this is what, so by this diagram you will be able to capture what that we have learned throughout, right? So this is the whole picture that is giving you an idea. So this is what I wanted to, give as a description for understanding the marketing. Okay, thank you very much. And so next class, if you all are not speaking, then of course I will not continue my lecture. So please take that in your mind. And next class is tomorrow. Tomorrow 10:30 we will have. Okay, thank you very much and bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.